Hello and welcome to this very special playthrough of the visual novel RPG Mistwinter Bay. I'm Woglawu, the game's artist, which means that I make almost everything that you actually see in the game. And today I am here with a special guest.
Wow, I'm a guest, I'm a co-host. I'm Lev Unknown and I'm the lead developer. I've done the programming and most of the writing and music, basically everything that isn't art. But I did draw the town view, so I did something.
Yeah, and today we basically want to do a playthrough of the game just to showcase kind of what it is, because it's very hard to show Mistwinter Bay in shorter videos, since it is a very long and very lore-driven game with many things that can happen, so we figured that the best way to show it is simply to play it for you.
Exactly. And since we worked so hard on it, we want to show it off as in-depth as we can, and hopefully not make it too boring in the process either. But you know, it's the first time we've done a video like this, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into a new game.
Okay, so the first thing you'll see when clicking on the new game button in the main menu is, well, you'll get a loading screen first, but then you will end up in the character creator. And this is something that we have put a lot of time and effort into, and we've reworked it at least 2 times, almost making it all over again from scratch. And as you can see, there are multiple body types. We would of course have wanted, like, I don't know, twice as many body types, but the thing is, all of this is hand-drawn, which means that all of the outfits you can wear are also hand-drawn based on each body type. And since there are 4 body types and a lot of outfits you can wear, there are a lot of images, so having more body types would be basically unworkable for Woglawu drawing everything.
Yeah, exactly. And something that wasn't featured in the game's demo are face and body details, which means that you can now give your character freckles or body hair or even scars.
Exactly, and since we know that people might want to have multiple body details, there are 3 total ones that you can have, and each of them you can change the color of the detail and so on. And then of course you can choose the head shape, the height, and the body type and the skin tone as well. So if we look at the custom skin tone, you can see that you can pick pretty much any color you want within a realistic limit. We want your character to still look like an actual human and not like some of the other types of people that are in this game, like non-human creatures. And then on the second tab we can go into detail on the face with eyes and eyebrows and really go in depth of how to create your character. And thankfully there are buttons with pictures that show off each option, so you don't have to guess what option is gonna show up next, because that was a thing that was in the demo. These big buttons with the face details and everything weren't there, so you had to just cycle through an invisible menu just using arrows, which wasn't ideal. So this is one of the big changes we made during the long work on the game. And of course here is a pretty fun feature that you can color your eyes separately from left and right side. And basically everything on your character can be colored, which gives a lot of customization options. And then of course we have a bunch of different eyebrow shapes. And this one is is a bit funny because you can explain the thought behind that one.
Yeah, so this is more like if your eyebrows are actually drawn on with makeup, since there's no black line art to, emulate the hair. So maybe we will have some drawn on eyebrows. And here you can copy pre-existing colors if you want to maybe make them darker.
Yeah, and this specific set of eyebrows can also be used to be skin colored, so it looks like you have absolutely no eyebrows at all, as long as you can kind of color match the skin tone on your own. And then different eyeshadows as well.
It's kind of hard to see, but this first option has eyeshadow underneath the eye, but these do not, and this one has slightly darker outer corners.
Yeah, you can close the eye.
You see it gets darker on the third option.
Which is pretty fun. And just like with the eyes, you can color the eyeshadow separately depending on which side of the eye you can have, which can mean that if you have a scar on your face like a burn mark or something, you can color that side's eyeshadow to match the skin tone a bit more so that it looks like it blends in with that side of the face a bit more, which is a pretty fun thing to do. And then of course it's the mouth, with also a bunch of different mouth shapes. And we've tried in the pictures to color the thing you are changing differently from the rest of the face or whatever you're looking at, so it really stands out so that you understand this is the mouth you're changing. And as with everything else, you can color it however you want, but there will always be a set of default colors that you can choose from as well. And when you randomize colors, the default colors are the colors that show up so that you don't get something completely outrageous that won't match any of the other default colors, you know. And as with the body, the face can also have a bunch of details, and unlike the body, there are 2 pages of details for the face, since it's more visible, so it's just more fun to have more options for that. So you can have blush, you can have freckles, you can have beauty marks, and all sorts of things, scars, sunken eyes, really a lot of options to choose from. And you can color them freely as well. And then of course, if you want to give your character a beard, there are plenty of options for that too. Some that are more outrageous than others.
Maybe it doesn't fit this character very well.
Yeah. Really no beard on this character. But you can of course change the color of the beard just like you can with the hair color and everything else. And the beard is colored separately from the hair, so if you want a slightly different color on the beard, you can have that. And then now we moved on to the hair, which is very customizable since the hair is split into a front part and a back part, and both parts have a lot of options to choose from. As you can see, we have 4 entire pages of front hairstyles to choose from, and we've tried our best to make it a pretty diverse range so that as many players as possible can hopefully find something that might match their real life hairstyle. Or if you want to make a specific type of character, hopefully there's something that matches your vision for it. And here we have the back hair that has 3 pages of options. All from different types of updos to long hair, short hair, straight hair, curly hair. We really tried to do as many things as possible. Now we just gotta decide what to actually pick, which is a lot trickier than you might think. That looked pretty good. Yeah, and as you can see, you can pick your hair color completely custom if you want to. So you can make some very anime looking characters.
That looks pretty cute.
Yeah.
That was kind of the same color.
And then we're moving on to the outfits, which is has been quite painful to make since, as I said earlier, they're hand drawn, all of them, adapted to which body type you have, and you start out with 8 outfits that we see here on the buttons. But you can unlock outfits as you play the game, and there are a total of 18 outfits to unlock, but there are 2 of those outfits that have variants, so in total there are 20 outfits you can unlock. and there are no restrictions on which clothes you can wear depending on body type, so all body types can wear the same clothes, which is something we really wanted to have in the game to give as much customization as possible and just make it possible for anyone to make any type of player character. And then we have a category with just accessories. So here are a bunch of options for crowns or headwear. And they might look a bit strange depending on what hair you have, but that is unfortunately nothing we can really do anything about. So some of you might not be able to have a crown and make it look good, but this character was lucky to be able to wear one.
Yeah.
And then there are of course a bunch of earrings as well. So there are like more discreet ones or big ones, and there are some piercings as well. So really to give you as much variety as possible. And then depending on what earring you have, you might get to choose the gem color. Others don't have any gems, or they only have gems, so you don't get to pick the earring color. So it kind of depends on what you choose with how many options you're presented with. And then of course we have some glasses as well. And a masquerade mask, looking very sneaky.
I'd say that's a good looking character, so now we just have to name it before we start playing.
And you can, as with everything else in the character creator, you can randomize the name, both the first name and the family name. And you should of course be quite careful with what you name yourself, since that's the name you're gonna be stuck with for the rest of the game. So Sword Lake, beautiful first. Yes, the entertainment family.
Yes, very good.
And then down in the left corner we can also check the expressions that our character is going to have when we play the game. So these expressions are just to show what you will look like. You aren't choosing any sort of default expression. These are just like showcasing what you will look like in different scenarios. You are about to create your sovereign, Sword Lake Entertainment. So we can change most things, but we can't change name, body, head, skin tone, eyes, eye color, and mouth shape. So are we sure we want to have this sovereign?
Yes.
Yes. So then we come to a pretty fun feature, which is the permanent choices. So I read out loud. Using permanent choices means that you only get to use one save file, a permanent save file, to save your progress. The save file is used for both manual saving and auto-saving. This means that any decision you make may have a bigger impact since you are unable to go back far in time. Warning! You have to pay attention now, this is a warning. This game mode is not recommended for your first playthrough since your character may permanently die, among other things. So in other words, you really shouldn't be using this in your first playthrough, because there will be times when you have made certain choices maybe months ago that may affect you right now, and you can't change that because you only have one save file that maybe you get at the start of a new event that will occur, and then you realize, oh, my character died and now I can't go back to a previous save file because I'm already in the event where I will automatically die because of my previous choices. So this is really a game mode that should be used for veteran players, or if you are kind of sadistic and want to have not so very fun playthrough that you might lose all of your progress, then sure, go ahead, use this, but I don't recommend it.
Yeah, and we won't be doing it now either, so we will not.
Yeah, it's a very hard mode, or Iron Man mode as it might be called in other games, or permadeath mode, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then the tips, it's basically just if you want to have a tutorial or not, and I think we should turn it off since we already know how to play the game. Yes, and then we are presented with something we added after the release of the game based on some player feedback, and that is an easy mode. So if you use the easy mode, you will have higher monthly resource production, which means that it's easier to build things and also to manage your relationships, since you have higher coin production, and coins are used, for example, to buy gifts for people, which means if you give someone a gift, they can like you more. And it also starts you off with more reputation with all characters in the game, which means that they like you more from the start. But we probably shouldn't be using easy mode.
No.
So now we move on to the actual game, and it's gonna load for a little while. But what we see on the screen now is a text that says which year it is. GY stands for global year, so it's global year 7008, and the season is winter, and it's the month of late winter. So this is where we will meet our character for the first time and kind of find out what has been going on in their life.
Wanna read the letter?
I guess I can read the letter. My dear sweet child, when this letter reaches you, I am afraid I have joined your mother at last. Grieve me as you see fit, but remember that I have lived a good life, a life to be proud of, not the least since I raised you. I'm sorry to cut your studies short, but 7 years is still a long time away from home, even if the circumstances were different. It is time for you to come back home to Mistwinter Bay and take on the role of sovereign. Continue your family's legacy of rulers of this peaceful town and take it even further than any of your forefathers did. I believe your second cousin, Empress Ophelia, will build upon Mistwinter Bay's history by giving you a chance to make it something truly grand. Although time will tell if it is a dying man's wishful thinking or if there is any merit to my speculations. I know this puts a heavy burden on your shoulders, but know that you are not alone. Besides the souls of your forefathers having your back, my most trusted servants are still at our estate, ready to serve you. Jack Barr, my closest advisor, or Grandpa Jack as you called him back in the day, may be getting old now, but his mind is still as sharp as ever. He knows exactly what goes on in both local and international politics, how to handle the population and expand the town, and what Empress Ophelia expects. He also knows a thing or two about trading. My spy master, Sophia Wisp, is of course still here as well. You may not call her auntie or big sister Sophia anymore, but I'm sure that both of you will be thrilled to see each other again. Naturally, she will provide you with more than emotional support. With her knowledge of somewhat more shady subjects, she will keep you safe from angry mobs and more mean-spirited adversaries. If you want something swept under the rug or knowledge about questionable actions, she is the right woman for the job. I hope you take care of Mistwinter Bay as well as you have taken care of yourself these past 7 years. Mistwinter Bay needs someone like you, now more than ever. Make our people proud. Make your mother proud. Make me proud. And remember that I will always love you dearly. Farewell and good luck, your loving father, Sovereign Howard Entertainment. Well, that is a pretty amusing family name.
Yeah. So, just to be clear, this is a letter from our late father who is giving us the role of sovereign over Mistwinter Bay now.
Exactly. So we were busy away from home for 7 years, and now we're finally coming home again since he passed away, and we need to take over, basically.
Yes. You're gonna force me to read this now.
So much.
For 7 years, you honed your skills as a ruler at Freykeep Royal University, where most of your ancestors did the same. You didn't, however, expect that your studies would be cut short because the call for ruling actually... What the fuck?
Call for actually ruling your hometown.
You didn't, however, expect that your studies would be cut short because of the call for actually ruling your hometown. You are to become sovereign. The typical... Maybe I am this one.
A special type of ruler unique to the Empire of Strana. So basically, now we're gonna get an explanation of what a sovereign is. And a sovereign is something that we kind of came up with specifically for this game, since we wanted a character that could interact with common people as well as important international foreign leaders, as we call them. And there wasn't really anything that fit that description as far as we knew, so we kind of came up with our own type of ruler, which is then called a sovereign. So a sovereign is basically a mayor, but also kind of royalty that just rules over a single town, in this case Mistwinter Bay. So then we as a sovereign are supposed to be very in touch with our people and be on a very personal level with them. So, in other words, it's pretty common that we just go out on the street and chat someone up instead of just hiding behind bodyguards and stay in our castle all the time. So we are supposed to go out and interact with people and get to know them, because that's what a sovereign is supposed to do. But at the same time, it isn't strange for us to deal with international politics either. And since I just explained that, we can just skip through this part. This text just explained what I said.
It also says here that some people might be mean to you.
Yeah, since you're supposed to be closer to your people, they will treat you more like one of them than some sort of royalty a lot of the time. So you might hear some harsher words than you would expect someone talking to a medieval king or something similar. But of course we still have the staff at the estate where we grew up, who work for our father, who are still there to help us. For example, the advisors that he mentioned in the letter.
And here we arrive in Mistwinter Bay, our home, the home of your ancestors, the place you now rule. And basically we are a bad child, because we didn't come see our father.
And now it's too late, because our father has already passed away without us seeing him for 7 years. So we have been missing out on some good things. So now our only living relative is our second cousin, Empress Ophelia. You can open that for a leader roster. So this is our closest relative. So she is the Empress of the Empire of Straina that Mistwinter Bay is a part of. So she is our boss, basically.
Here we go.
The throne room looks the same as you remember it, except for one thing. Your father isn't here anymore and never will be again, neither to rule Mistwinter Bay nor to guide you as you govern his legacy. However, you were studying governing at university much longer than most people, so you should be fit for the task even without your father's direct guidance. Still, it's one thing to study something, another to practice it. Good thing you are not completely alone in this.
Jack, Sophia.
Oh, Swordlake, you're finally here. It is so good to see you again.
The same, it's been too long, hasn't it? But that's how it is when you study at Freykeep Royal University. Free time is close to zero. I was gonna put on a voice.
You can put on a voice.
I don't think it would be. Don't try to fool. Don't try to fool us. We know you didn't want to visit us. What's this little backwater hole compared to the town of towns, eh? Both places have their good and bad sides. Freykeep has a lot going on all the time, so I'm actually a bit relieved to be back home where it's calmer. Just don't expect to relax now, kiddo. With their old man gone, it's all on your shoulders now.
Just to clarify, Freykeep, the city we were studying in, is the capital of the Empire of Straina, so we were in like basically the biggest town in the entire continent.
We can just look at the map.
Yeah, we can take a look at the map. So here we see a basic version of the map that we see that Mistwinter Bay is, well, by the Reminian Sea of the coast in the Empire of Straina.
And all the way over here is Freykeep, where we were studying.
Yeah. And then we can see the other 6 countries that are all governed by their own ruler that you can meet and have a relationship with. You can even marry them if you want to. And all of these countries have their own unique culture and environment, traditions, everything is unique to them. And some of them, as you will be able to tell, are not humans. There are 3 human countries out of these 7, and the other 4 are elemental countries, as they are called. So there are elementals living in those countries who look pretty humanoid but aren't humans.
Yeah, we'll be seeing some soon.
Yes. But Sophia and I are here to help you, so no need to worry.
If you'll keep us, that is. I would prefer younger advisors.
Yeah, Jack is a bit too old, isn't he?
Preferably really good-looking ones that I don't get bored, so that I don't get bored while on the throne. If you were talking to anyone else, I'm not so sure they would appreciate a joke like that. everything you say can have consequences, but it's usually pretty obvious when that's the case. So basically what they are explaining here is that your words can offend people, but these two don't really care what you say, because they are forever faithful to you. You can see it here.
You can see it in the menu, that they will never turn on you. And it doesn't matter what choices you make, if everyone else gets mad, they will still support you, no matter what. And we could see that the choice we picked right now, it was purple, if you were paying attention. So that means that that choice didn't make a difference. It just provided branching dialogue options, but they all kind of came back to the same main path again. But we will be presented with golden options eventually, and those options mean that at least one of those options will provide something very different that will affect the game world in some way.
Anyway, I got a letter from Empress Ophelia before I left Freykeep. She said she would be at the coronation. As she should.
But that is not all. Since I am your primary advisor on matters of general government and diplomacy, she sent me a letter as well. She wrote to tell me that she will be here earlier than expected, tomorrow in fact.
Why? We haven't even begun planning the coronation yet.
There is a matter most serious that she has to discuss with you.
Any idea what it is? We have an inkling, but it's too soon to say. Better to wait until morning to have her say it herself.
But today is still young. I suggest we make use of it by taking a look at the town. So now we are presented with not what the actual town looks like. This is still just a part of the dialogue, but eventually we will get to see a town that we can interact with, that allows us to build buildings and decide who lives in the town and trade for resources and other things. But right now it's just dialogue. And now we're presented with another purple option, which, as I mentioned previously, means that we are just presented with branching dialogue options that don't really affect anything. So we can say it's a disaster and it won't change anything.
Yeah.
It's just some flavor text.
I can't sugarcoat it. This town is a disaster.
Surely it cannot be that bad.
Swordlake has a point. Mistwinter Bay has seen better days.
But all of Howard's, I mean the late Sovereign's work, surely it cannot all have been for naught.
Of course not. My father did a lot to improve many things in town, and it's better than it has been in decades, maybe even centuries. But we still have a long way to go if we want to be put on the global map, or even make other Australian cities respect us. Aiming high, are we, kiddo? Not that I'm complaining. I think it's about time Mistwinter Bay goes back to its glory days before the mermaid attacks.
But that was 4,500 years ago. It is simply impossible for us to reach such heights now.
Nothing is impossible until you try it, right, kiddo? I'm at least prepared to try. Only time will tell if we'll be able to make an actual change to the town.
Speaking of our town, I think it's about time we bring in a few visitors who wanted to see you. Sophia and I thought it was a good idea as well, since they run some of the most important places in town. We have 3 guests who are eager to meet you. Who would you like to meet first? The innkeeper, graveyard keeper, or a Valerist priestess?
Let's meet the innkeeper. I would like to meet the innkeeper.
Then we will send him in. Hello, I'm Cecil Forth, the innkeeper in town. You're the new sovereign, I presume?
Yes and no. I'm not officially sovereign yet, but I will be after the coronation.
Oh yes, I heard about that. There's a big party coming up, right? People have been talking about it for a long time now. It's really exciting, I must say. We haven't had anything to celebrate in, well, as long as I've lived here, and I've lived here my entire life.
Then you must know a lot about the town. Care to tell me a bit about the current situation?
There isn't a lot to tell, really. Every day is the same as the other. In my humble opinion, I think people are quite bored. We're basically just a Valerist farmers and low-end merchants. The nobles in town spend their money elsewhere since the town is too dull, according to them. I would know because I haven't seen them at the inn.
I faintly remember there only being one inn back in the day when I was a child. I'm just making shit up. Is that still the case?
It sure is, and I'm not complaining about that. Makes us the only ones guaranteed to be on our feet all year around.
Us?
Mum and I. She's slightly ill now, though, so I do everything.
Sorry to hear that.
It's okay, she could do much worse. You aren't one to say, Sovereign. Late Howard was a good man. He cared a lot about his people. Your grandpa did too, or so Mum tells me. You entertainments have been taking good care of Mistwinter Bay for a long time, it seems.
I'm glad you think so. I'll try to make my ancestors proud.
And I'm sure it'll go really well. If you ever need the temple of the townsfolk or just want Mistwinter Bay's finest ale, swing on by the Winter Mist Inn. The first night's drinks are on me.
I will keep that in mind.
See you some other time, Sovereign, and good luck with the coronation and everything. Who would you like to see next?
Let's meet the graveyard keeper.
I'm supposed to read that too, or what?
Yeah, sure.
Then we'll send them in. Hello, Sovereign. I heard that you were in town now and figured that I should swing by for a courtesy visit.
Thank you, I appreciate the thought. I don't recall ever having seen you before. Mind telling me who you are?
I'm Erivan Fossbearer, keeper of Mistwinter Bay's graveyard.
What exactly is it you do as a graveyard keeper?
I mostly make sure the graves are well kept. I also handle the burial process and ceremonies related to putting bodies in the ground. I don't know how familiar you are with the Stranian burial processes, but putting the body in the ground has nothing to do with religion. If a grand religious ceremony is wanted for a lot of people, it is held before the body is taken to the graveyard. There it is buried in accordance with the family's wishes.
I am unfortunately aware of the last part, since I had to decide whether to bury my father in a casket or cremate him and bury the urn instead.
That is true. I believe you were the one who received my letter about it. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough time to wait for your homecoming before the burial. I'm sorry it had to be done without you.
It's okay, it was a necessary evil. We can't stop nature from reclaiming our bodies once we're gone. By the way, you said you were the one who wrote me about it.
Yes.
I didn't think there were a lot of lower class people in town who knew how to read and write.
It's mostly a privilege given to the nobility. I am lucky to be part of the Fossbearer lineage. We have lived in Mistwinter Bay for centuries, millennia even, and have taken care of the graveyard for just as long, and all of us have been literate.
That's quite the lineage.
I suppose so.
Few families would be able to keep a position for that long.
Us Fossbearers have always taken our job very seriously. That's why we're still here. At this point in time, it's almost as if we're synonymous with the town itself. Some like to theorize that we've been here as long as the town.
If so, I might do well to listen to you.
Oh no, not at all. Unless it is about death and the dead, that is. I don't know a thing about anything else.
Now that's a laugh.
I should get back to my duties now, if that is alright with you.
One last thing before you go. What is that strange lantern you're carrying? I've never seen one like that before.
If you really want to know, you can visit me sometime. Right now, I think both of us have too much to do. Goodbye, and good luck with your new responsibilities. I will send in the last person who wants to meet you. Very good name we have for our character.
Well met, Sword Lake Entertainment, soon to be sovereign of Mistwinter Bay. That's what she sounds like.
Yeah, pretty accurate.
I am Dawn Chamberlain, priestess of the Shrine of Averil here in town. It's not too far from this villa. Feel free to visit any time you want. You are always welcome in the house of our master Averil. Thank you, Dawn. I will keep that in mind. The Valorists of Mistwinter Bay have taken it upon themselves to give a personal gift to you. Please don't see it as a bribe or anything of the sort. It's simply a gift of appreciation and well-meaning from your people in this turbulent time of your life. I suppose I can't refuse a gift like that.
And now we got a resource. So there are different types of resources, as you can see on these bars that we just popped out. So we got coins, which is on the bottom one all on its own. And these bars are split into two to show how much monthly production we get, which is the upper half, and then how much of that resource we have on hand right now. So in other words, our coins increased from 75 to 175 since we got 100 from Dawn. So as soon as you get or lose resources when you're in a dialogue like this, you will get a pop-up that says which resource changed and with how much. And you can, if you think it's too fast, you can go to the settings and change the speed of how fast those pop-ups show up. So now we have it on the standard speed, but you can make it faster or slower.
You can also turn them off completely if maybe you want a bit more of a challenge and not know how people react in events and such, but we will not be doing that for this playthrough. Tell me, my liege, are you following any religion?
You have thought about religion many times throughout your life. Dawn would certainly like if you followed the largest faith, Avalarism, and would probably be disappointed if you followed the opposing Voidist religion. But saying that you follow either in this moment will not tie you to that faith forever. You know that every major decision you make for the town might have a religious impact, but no one is forcing you to stick to supporting only one religion throughout your entire rule. However, you are aware of the fact that trying to stick to one path instead of switching sides at all times might be a good strategy in the long run.
And as you can see, the options are now golden because they will affect something, and that something in this case is reputation with Dawn.
Yeah, so we pick any of these options, she will like us or dislike us based on what we say.
Let's say we don't know enough yet. I don't think I know enough about different religions to be able to say that I believe in anything, nor do I know enough to say I directly dismiss a particular faith. That's very wise of you.
And as you saw, her reputation changed now with that little pop-up with her face and +5. It says that she gained 5 reputation. And she started out with 5 reputation, so now she has 10. And Cecil has 5, Edwin has 0.
Most characters will start with 0 reputation, but these two just like you a bit more, I guess. I was open-minded for a time myself before I embraced Avalarism fully. Although I was only a teenager at the time, so it might have just been me trying to rebel against my surroundings at first, because when I finally committed, I knew it had been the right thing all along. Maybe you will come to the same conclusion one day. If you don't, that's perfectly fine as well. Strena is a free empire after all. Anyhow, I have taken up enough of your time now. I brought the people's gift and informed you about the shrine. My mission here is complete. Feel free to visit me at the shrine anytime you want. If you want me to conduct the coronation, I would be honored to, although I will admit that I would prefer to go without such attention. I look forward to seeing you again, my liege. Now that you met all your guests, I would like to inform you of a little project, I guess we could call it. Since I was your father's spy master and now yours, I will hand over the intel I have on our citizens and key diplomatic players to you. The people who work for me try to dig up people's past, but some attempts are more successful than others, so the amount of information and the details in it varies a lot. We do, however, always present correct information on names and trades, which is fairly obvious, one could say, since one's trade is very important and out in the open on the continent of Humanus. And we also track what people think of you, so if you ever wonder if that one farmer or that one noble would like to assassinate you, you can just see how much they like or dislike you to be able to make an accurate guess.
We will of course do everything in our power to not let it get to that point, of assassination I mean. But the sad truth is that some people may not like all of your decisions.
That's why we keep tabs on everyone in town, as well as important political figures, to try to prevent things from getting to the worst point.
It is getting rather late. I think it is best if we turn in for the night. Tomorrow will be an important day since the Empress herself will visit.
You have never met Ophelia, have you, kiddo? Not so much that we have interacted with each other. I have of course seen her from afar plenty of times when I visited the castle in Freykeep. Then you have something to look forward to. Good night.
You still remember the way to your old room, right?
I'm not that lost. I did grow up here, remember?
Yes, of course. I just wanted to make sure. Good night, Swordlake.
See you tomorrow.
As you stand alone in the throne room, generations worth of responsibility weighs heavy on your shoulders. Will you be able to handle the responsibility as well as your ancestors have? Or will you crumble under the pressure? It is too early to tell. But one thing you know for certain. Whatever Empress Ophelia will tell you tomorrow will be very important. After a long night of little sleep and a light breakfast, you find your way back to the throne room. Empress Ophelia, your second cousin, is soon to arrive. Why, you still don't know. But you have a feeling it may change the course of your life quite drastically.
Good morning, kiddo. Are you ready for the Empress?
I'm not ready.
I'm not ready.
I have no clue what you want.
I'm not ready at all. How could I possibly welcome the Empress when I hardly even know my way around town? Don't worry, kiddo. You have it in you.
Yes, indeed you do. You have entertainment blood in you. There's no way you will mess this up.
But she's the ruler of the greatest country on the continent. And you're the second cousin of said ruler. You're related, so even if you do mess up, it's not a big deal. Or should I say not as big of a deal, because screwing up in front of the Empress is always a big deal.
You're not helping any of us, Sophia.
The time for pep talk is up anyway. Here she is, the Grand Empress herself.
With an air of regal superiority, Ophelia strides into the throne room, accompanied by 24 personal guards, a couple of servants, and some advisors. A young maid struggles to hold the long, heavy train of the Empress' dress and cape, whilst Ophelia herself walks up to you as if she was as light as a feather. She stops for a while, looking you up and down, seemingly judging your worth. Why is she here? Why would someone of her standing visit little Mistwinter Bay before the coronation that she has to attend? From the look on her face, you feel it can't be bad news. For whom, however, you don't know.
I'll let you be Ophelia.
Sword Lake, my dear, it is so good to finally meet you. How I have longed for this. How unfortunate then that it had to be under such circumstances. I'm so sorry for your loss. Howard was a good man. I only ever met him 2 times, but I know he was.
Thank you, Your Grace.
I take it he is already buried.
Yes, Your Grace. He was buried a couple of weeks before I got here.
Yet another tragedy. I'm so sorry for your loss. I will make sure to visit his grave before I leave. But that is not why I'm here. Shall we get on with our business, my dear?
Yes, that would probably be a good idea.
But I unfortunately don't know. Wait, that's you.
He's right back.
Well, maybe Ophelia said that too.
I unfortunately don't know why you're here.
Of course you do not, my dear, since I have not told you. Are you familiar with the concept of Stranian city-states?
I have heard of them and read a bit about them at university, but I'm sure you know more than I do, Your Grace.
To put it briefly, city-states are cities and towns that are of a particular size yet not too large, with a substantial amount of noble and middle-class citizens. These cities and towns are far away from Freykeep yet are still within the borders of the Empire of Strana. They are part of the Empire and give levies and tithes to the Imperial Crown, yet are self-governing. Self-governing in the sense that the sovereign may create any law that only abides to the city in question and the surrounding area that falls under the protection of the city-state. Of course, I do not enjoy when city-states create laws that go against the principle of Strana, but I hardly ever say anything about it. If it works, it works. The sovereign of a city-state may also expand the city as they wish, as long as they do not take more land than they have been granted by the Imperial Crown, be it by force or deceit. They may also tax their citizens as they wish and earn income from the town in any way they please, as long as it does not stray too far from the Stranian ideals. Unlike regular Stranian towns and counties, they may also dabble in foreign diplomacy, which is not allowed for regular towns. They can trade with any country in Ruminus as they please without having taxes go through the Imperial Crown first. And they, of course, trade with the rest of Strana freely, and Stranian roads and borders will always be open for citizens of a city-state. Strana will also protect and aid any city-state if it is unlawfully or unjustly put under military threat or in times of disaster or financial struggle. Naturally, all of these benefits require the city-state to consistently give Strana levies and tithes to a slightly larger degree than any regular town would. Do you understand what a city-state is? Yes, please, I do not want to repeat information.
We understand. Yes, I understand, Your Grace.
Good, then we can move on. For the last 300 years, Strana has been creating these city-states. Why, you may ask? Because the empire is too large for the royal crown to control directly. This is not an admission of weakness, but a confirmation of a fact that has been evident for millennia. Large countries cause trouble no matter how powerful the ruler is. Having city-states is good for economical reasons as well. With more local power, the empire at large has to aid fewer places. The trade between the main empire and the city-states is very lucrative, not the least since city-states get the freedom to invent and produce whatever they want within realistic limits. So the Crown has been looking for towns and cities that fulfill the geographical requirements and that are loyal to us. Those areas have then been made into city-states. It has always been an arrangement that has benefited all parties. And now the time has come for Mistwinter Bay to be the next official Stranian city-state.
Really?
Really.
Pardon my asking, but why? What is special about this place? Surely it can't just be that it's at the right distance and my family has been loyal to the Crown.
Oh, you're quite right. For the past century or so, Mistwinter Bay has made big steps forward in innovations, has expanded and improved the town's footprint, as well as managed to gather more people with different backgrounds. It is true that Mistwinter Bay may not be a financial superpower right now, or even have a particularly large population. There is also still a majority of farmers here. But the will of improvement exists both in your family as well as in your advisors and citizens. Taking that into consideration, along with Mistwinter Bay's historical greatness, I know this town can be a force to be reckoned with. Not too large, though. Yeah, I would be a fool to risk giving away too much power. So what do you say, my dear? Are you ready to tackle the responsibility it means to make Mistwinter Bay a city-state?
So if we say no, the game ends. I get it.
It doesn't.
Let's just say we're ready. Yes, I am ready, Your Grace.
Excellent. However, there is one thing you need to understand first. After your coronation, you will sign an agreement that you will lead Mistwinter Bay during a trial period of 5 years. In other words, as long as the game lasts. If I deem Mistwinter Bay a good candidate to be an official city-state, I will make it so with you as its ruler. If not, you will still remain the ruler, but Mistwinter Bay will also remain completely under imperial rule. It will have no benefits as it would have had it been a city-state. During these 5 trial years, Mistwinter Bay will get all the benefits and deals as it would if it was an official city-state. So you can expand the town, trade, and show off your foreign diplomacy skills as much as you want during that time. I will check back in with you at the half-time mark of 2.5 years. Other than that, I will only contact you if Strana, however unlikely, is in need of assistance or if I think you are on the completely wrong track. I will warn you then. If I warn you and you do not change, you better have very powerful allies or your days are numbered. But it will not come to that, I am sure. Have I made myself clear?
Yes, Your Grace.
Excellent, then I will see myself out. Oh, one last thing. Since you, on behalf of Mistwinter Bay, will be a player on the continental or even global stage after your coronation, I took the privilege to invite the rulers of every independent country in Ruminus to your coronation. They will want to contact you soon anyway, so why not start your relationships right away at the coronation? Bye now, my dear. I will see you at the coronation. Do not forget to send me an invitation or I will be very cross with you. And just like that, the force of nature that is Empress Ophelia Savarez of Strana is gone and her cortege with her. The throne room feels eerily quiet and still, with only you and your 2 advisors left.
Well, she was interesting.
She has a tendency to be very lovely when she feels like it, but crossing her is a recipe for disaster.
Have you met her before, Jack?
Only briefly, once, at her coronation in Freykeep. She was fairly young then, like your father was at the time.
Even though she's your second cousin, she's closer in age to your father. Anyway, let's forget about the threats and how scary she can be and focus on the good part. Mistwinter Bay will basically be independent.
Yes, indeed. There is still the obligatory trial period of 5 years, but I do not think any town that has been up for trial has failed it. These are great news, so I'm so excited.
There aren't a lot of city-states overall, so this is an incredible opportunity. As the cherry on top, she even invited all of Ruminus leaders to your coronation. You can't ask for a better start of your reign than that.
That means a lot of pressure is on you during the coronation, but it is also a fantastic start to any foreign diplomatic relationship. This is a dream come true for me. I have wanted to be in contact with our Romanian neighbors again, and now I am finally allowed to. If that is your wish, Swordlake.
It is probably good for everyone if we have positive diplomatic relations with foreign powers. Not the least if you ever get on the Empress's bad side. Your only way to make it through that is by being buddies with foreign leaders who can have your back. So don't think you have to go lick Ophelia's boots just because she might dislike you. As long as you have other powerful friends, you'll be fine regardless.
Do not take this trickster's word as a go-ahead for being rude to the Empress. Remember that she is the most powerful person in Ruminus, and if that is not enough, she is your closest living relative.
I will keep that in mind, Jack. Now, how about we take a look at the continental map to see what options we have when it comes to diplomacy.
I'm sure such an intelligent and educated person as Swordlake has seen the map before and knows who our neighbors are. Yeah, we did look at the map before, so...
Yeah, I know that too, I'm not an idiot. I read the kiddo bedtime stories from all over and pointed out the countries of origin on the map before I read them. But a map can look very different depending on the intentions of the viewer.
That is true. Let's just look at the map then.
No.
How about we take lunch now and come back here later to decide the major aspects of the coronation?
Sounds good to me. We have to decide it quickly since it has to take place next month. Because according to Stranian law, an area that falls under a sovereign's rule can't be left without a crowned sovereign for more than 1.5 months, or the imperial crown instates a new sovereign. Exactly, kiddo. Sounds like your education was worth something after all.
Then we will meet here again shortly.
We will skip the coronation.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, because this message asks if you want to plan out your own coronation and see it play out so that you see what your choices have affected and you can influence people's reputation and so on. But as it says, it takes about 20 to 35 minutes and we've already done it many times, and it's more fun if you want to play it yourself, which I think you should. Try it out for yourself, because it's a bit of a tutorial into learning how making choices influences the game world.
And also the coronation is probably the best way to influence foreign leaders, because it's kind of hard to change their reputation outside of the coronation in regular events. So if that's what you're interested in, definitely do the coronation, but we are going to skip it.
So now we have ended up right after the coronation has finished and Ophelia is here to talk to us again. The sounds and energy of the dining hall feel distant as you stand in the throne room with the Empress Ophelia, her entourage waiting a bit further away. You can't tell what Ophelia thought of today. Regardless, you know it is the last time you will see her in a while. Swordlake, my dear, it has been a lovely day today. I think you made some very wise and interesting choices by making no choices at all.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
But the most important part of today is the fact that you are now officially the sovereign of Mistwinter Bay. Congratulations, my dear.
Once again, thank you. I am very honored that you attended the coronation.
It was my duty as well as pleasure. However, do not forget that you now have more power than any of your ancestors ever had. It is not something you should take lightly.
I won't.
I do hope so, because this amount of power is only borrowed, as I am sure you remember. 5 years, my dear. You will borrow this power for 5 years, and if you wield it well during those 5 years, it is yours to keep forever. I will return and check on you in 2.5 years, marking the halfway point. If you have used your power wisely until then, I will see it as nothing more than a family vacation. But if you have misused your power, I will be sure to tell you so with a strict warning of what is to come if you continue to misbehave. Let me tell you, my dear, you do not want to experience that. If you misbehave particularly badly, I will inform you of my discontent so that you can change your ways before it is too late. Have I made myself clear?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Excellent. Then I will see you in 2.5 years, I hope. Take care, my dear. With the force of a storm, Ophelia turns around, joins her entourage, and exits the throne room with an aura of absolute authority. As the large doors close behind her, you swallow the fear that made butterflies in your stomach. You know Ophelia meant every word she said, but you are confident that you can make it through all 5 years. Because even if you somehow manage to displease Ophelia and make her your enemy, there are still several other big players on the Romanian playing field. They all enter the throne room in this very moment in hopes of having a word with you. You see the 6 leaders of Ruminus' other countries, Meblia, Utra, Achate, Flaedal, Ethal, and Iskor, walk towards you with more or less determined steps. They almost walk as a group at first, but as the 2 human rulers break off in a duel, the remaining 4 do as well. You see the 2 pairs of elementals go to separate ends of the room to talk with each other, whilst the 2 humans come over to you.
Ciao, you so lovely sovereign! What a splendid day you provided for us! You really make some interesting choices for today, I must say, Jerry. Some were very palatable, some which were not interesting nonetheless. Oh, but hear me blather on without introducing myself. I am Camilla Ramasi.
You cannot pronounce that.
I cannot say that. President of the Republic of Meblia. It is an honor to meet you, Lady President. It truly is. Oh, you flatter me, Jerry. The honor is mine. After all, it isn't every day you get to go to such a quaint little Stranian town. I do wonder, though, if you will be up for the task your Empress has burdened you with.
I know that I know that the new sovereign will manage excellently. Ruling runs in the family.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
You probably understand that I am King Uragdid of Utra. I am here to represent my people in hopes of mutually beneficial diplomatic relationships and trade deals.
Ah, yes, that sounds reasonable. Ureg, you shouldn't be so formal and boring. This is a joyous occasion. Let us all be joyful and party and have fun, he said cheerful. There are plenty of other times you can be so dull.
I do not want to start off on the wrong foot or appear to be here for any other reason. We all understand that a potential city-state is not high on the list of priorities for a major Romanian country. No offense to you, Sovereign.
That as he may be, good old Ureg has a point. We wouldn't be here if not to represent ourselves and our countries in hope of gaining something. For Meblia, that something is money and wares, so trade is important to us. And let's be honest, there's not much else for a puny Stranian city-state can give to anyone but Strania itself. Even for Strania, there's not much to gain. In all honesty, I don't understand why the Savareses have been creating city-states.
They are all highly experienced and highly regarded rulers. I am sure they have always known what they are doing.
Oh yes, put a stick higher up your bum, will you?
I beg your pardon?
Anyway, Sword Lake, Jerry. Build some sort of trading depot, will you, pretty please? Maybe I will happily send you lovely wares like wine and fruit and fashion you simply cannot live without. That being said, I will head back to the dining room for some more wine before tucking in for the night. Adieu!
I would like to apologize on behalf of my Meblian colleague and her people. However, Meblians tend to behave like this, as you probably already know, swooping in like storms, wrecking coastal towns in an instant and then leave the next day clear as Avaral's paradise. The Empress had a point in everything. The President had a point in everything she said that I agree with. It would be very beneficial for Mistwinter Bay as a whole to get some sort of trading depot, be it a regular marketplace or ship docks. Although in order to benefit Utra as well in a trade deal, ship docks are necessary. But what to build is completely up to you, of course. No matter what anyone says, do not forget that you and only you hold the power in Mistwinter Bay. You decide the direction the town will head towards. You shape its future. But it is also wise to take advice from people who know what they are talking about. If I'm not mistaken, you have at least 2 very competent people in your staff. Take good care of them, listen to them, and you will see that you will do great things.
Thank you, Your Majesty.
I will go to my room for the night, and thank you for letting me and my kinsmen stay at your villa, so that you may get the chance to speak with the other leaders. I must sound like a worried brother when I ask you to keep in mind that you have the most powerful people in Ruminus here with you. What you say and do in their presence matters a lot. Not that you did not already know that, I can tell you are no fool. Good night, Sovereign. You stand alone in the throne room as Ulrich leaves you. One of the pairs of rulers at opposite ends of the room notices your lonely figure and heads over to you.
Goda!
Goda.
Goda Sovereign, I am Seva Denago, Queen of Achet, land of the fire elementals.
And I am the Durham Somak, or as you call it, High Priest. My name is Gerd Samarak.
It is a great honor to meet both of you. Not only because you are great rulers, but because you are heads of the largest branches of Voidism as well. You are religious and monarchical icons.
You may be a follower of May you be a follower of voidism or not, respect for our religion is always appreciated.
Just make sure not to group us together too tightly. We may both represent voidist magic-loving countries, but we don't have much else in common. Not even our religion is similar. I thought as much, when your cultures are so different in other ways.
Be it so, for in Isgard the void is something grand, in Achate it is feared.
Fear is not in our vocabulary, tree men, we call it Charandot.
Chandrot.
Chandrot! We face the void with Chandrot. Reverence is the closest equivalence in the common tongue, I think.
Alas, magic you do love.
Not to your extent, you walking torch. It's another thing with the two over there.
Seva nods towards the Fleidolan and Ithalian rulers. Ithalian hatred for magic is ridiculous. They only have themselves to blame regardless. Fear of oneself is a clear sign of weakness.
And not even being able to produce magic is another one. Tell me, Sovereign, can you use magic? No, unfortunately not. I have tried, but I don't have the spiritual energy for it, it seems. At least you could have the affinity for it. At least you could have had the affinity for it. Humans seem to have a 50-50 chance of using it, if you ask me. But I'll tell you, Sovereign, there's near zero Flaydons who can use magic, and that is a sure sign of their weakness and inferiority. I see. But you shouldn't hang on to our words too hard either. Form your own impression of them. And then you can see for yourself how vastly inferior Flaydons are. Just thinking about it makes my blood boil. I feel like punching something. Excuse me while I go find a rock to explode.
The Queen has a point, yet I would want to give a word of warning about the Ithalians, the Semiori in particular. Ithalians may seem harmless on the surface, but they possess great magical powers. They Semiori more than most. They hate this power greatly, since they cannot control it due to their violent temper. Because once an Ithalian gets truly angry, she goes feral. When that happens, only the most skilled mages, usually Isgorian mages, can stop her before she calms down. That can take a while and have devastating consequences, as history has shown. So if you want true protection against Ithalians, or simply do not want to support their false-faced behavior, you can always trust Isgorians. We live long and learn much. My most important life lesson is that it is never wrong to trust an Isgorian, especially not he who talks with the Void Tree. Alas, it is up to you if you want diplomatic relationships or alliances with anyone. We as honorable leaders of Ruminus will respect that and not chase you with our political and cultural ideals. Be well, friend, and good luck with the ruling. May the void give you strength. Gerd heads towards the dining hall, and so both Achate's and Isgor's rulers are gone. Left in the throne room are only you and the pale visages belonging to Flaydol's and Ethal's rulers who are now walking over to you. Sovereign Swordlake, congratulations on your coronation.
Thank you so much, sir.
It is always a joyous day to see someone move forward in life. But this time, it might be a bit too much at once. Not only are you becoming sovereign, but Empress Ophelia has even begun her process of turning Mistwinter Bay into a city-state.
Well, there is a lot going on at once, but I don't think it's too much to bear.
That is good to hear. No one wants you to get burned out as soon as you start. Just make sure to tell someone if it's a bit too much going on. You can't rule wisely if you are unaware.
A true ruler can rule regardless. If our sovereign here is not cut out for ruling, it will show early on. But we have all the confidence in the world that it will go perfectly well.
Yes, of course. Swordlake, you are welcome to Ethel anytime. And if you ever like a visit from me, in order to share your culture or your festivals, I love festivals, then just send me a letter. Foreign diplomacy is almost the only work task I have.
Yes, you Ethalians do have an odd class system. How can someone who the rest of the world considers a national leader not have any actual power? It makes no sense.
It makes sense when there are no class systems. Many seem to believe that our divisions of songstresses is a class system, with the Miori, melodic songstress, as the highest class. But you see, a melodic songstress isn't much without support from the backup songstresses or baseline songstresses. That's a lot of essays.
Yeah.
It is all a group effort to produce the most beautiful music in the world.
Do I sense some pride, Semiori?
Maybe just a little bit.
There is nothing wrong with being prideful. I know if you know you have done something well, or you know you're superior to others, why not wear that knowledge on your sleeve?
Some might take offense.
Then they are jealous because they know they are weak and inferior and will never reach the same height. Isn't it the right, the duty of those who are stronger to show it to those who are weaker? It serves both as an anchor to reality for both parties, as well as telling the weaker ones that they are protected.
And that they can't rebel, is that what you're getting at?
That wasn't my plan, but now that you mention it, it is a sound thought. There is no point in rebellion if you are significantly weaker than those who control you. Then you will only bring unnecessary ruin upon your people. It is better to wait until you grow stronger and can honestly, actually challenge your oppressors with a chance of success. Waiting may be painful, but it may also be the only right choice.
Pardon me, sir, but it feels like you're presenting some sort of analogy.
It wasn't my original intention, but I get where you're coming from. It's easier as a leader to bring up your people's history in conversation, especially if that history consists of underdogs becoming a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, I just realized we haven't even introduced ourselves yet. I'm Samiori Area, Ethel's representative of the continental and global political playing field.
And I am Lemion Idala, head of the Idala clan and leader of Flaydon. My official title is Supreme Ruler, but that is rarely used. You can call me Chief Idala or simply Lemion. Rulers should be familiar with each other.
Supreme Ruler sounds threatening.
That is the point. It was first made to make the bloody Achatans understand that Flaydon was a real threat. Nowadays, a threatening title isn't needed for them to understand that.
This conversation turned a bit dark, don't you think?
Averil, bless your heart, Samiori.
Speaking of Averil, I would like to have a word with King Ureg. Is he in the dining hall?
No, he went to his room.
Oh, what a shame. But I'm certain I saw President Camilla go there. It has been a while since I saw her, so I would like to say hi before I go to bed.
I'll join you for a moment, Samiori. I need something to drink before the end of the night. Thank you for your hospitality and a wonderful ceremony today, Sovereign.
Yes, thank you. It was truly wonderful.
The pleasure is mine. When my guests are happy, so am I.
Good night, Sword Lake.
Good night.
The Flaydalan and Athalian leaders disappear to the dining hall. All alone in the throne room, you watch the long since closed door and wonder what you're supposed to do now. Half of the guests are in bed, half of them are still in the dining hall. Part of you wants to continue the party, but the majority is so worn out from the eventful day and all the days leading up to it that you can't help but want to go to sleep. So to bed you go, with a smile on your face. The great doors to the throne room close as the last of your guests leave in the morning after the coronation. You are pleased with how things turned out, and it appears your guests were too, most of the time at least. You haven't gotten the opportunity to talk one-on-one with the Romanian leaders since last night, but you think that was enough for the time being.
There we have you, the star of the show. How did things go?
Awful.
Awful.
Worst coronation you've ever seen.
I don't think it went well. The guests were upset, weren't they? At least not particularly impressed. What are you talking about? They were over the moon. Maybe not all of them, but a majority.
Exactly. Do not put yourself down because of this. It was an incredible ceremony, an incredible venue, and an incredible feast. If it had truly been bad, the foreign leaders would not have talked to you afterward. At least not those who were truly offended.
To sum things up, you're sovereign now and can start ruling for real.
Exciting times.
It is pretty exciting.
And now that we are in the process of becoming a city-state, you have more power than anyone before you. That is incredible.
Just don't let it get to your head, kiddo.
It will take some time to settle in now. I'm sure you need to refamiliarize yourself with everything that comes with being a sovereign. Do not hesitate to ask us if there is anything on your mind. Sophia and I are here to help and guide you to the best of our abilities. As you nod in approval, the coronation celebration is over and you are firmly sat on the sovereign's throne in Mistwinter Bay, the most recent town in line to become Australian city-state. Your journey, your life, has only just begun.
Woo!
Wow, we have made it out of the intro of the game, and now we're in the main gameplay loop. So this is what you will be seeing a lot when saving the game when playing the game. So this is like the main hub where you can do basically everything in the game. So there are 5 big buttons in the middle that represent some pretty important mechanics. And then there are buttons to the right side that shows this is your inventory, basically your collection as it's called. And then any laws you have made show up there, and here you can change the taxes. So you can tax each of the 3 social classes separately. And then in the main buttons you have the hangout, where you can meet characters one-on-one and get to know them better. So this is where a lot of the game's content is, since there are 38 characters you can hang out with like this. It's the 6 foreign leaders that we met at the end of the coronation, and then it's all of the people who live in your town. And right now we just have Don, Cecil and Erivan, so those are the only ones we can hang out with. And then in the top right we have quests, so when we get to know a character well enough, they will have a personal quest for us where we go and help them in some way. And then there are gifts, so here we can use our money to buy gifts for people, and we can see how much. Yeah, we use the coins for that, so we can see how many coins each gift costs and how much it increases reputation. So if we were to buy a gift, we would be presented with a list of all the characters, and here we see we can give gifts to all the foreign leaders and the people living in the town. So Ophelia is included here as well, because you can't marry Ophelia or hang out with her, but her reputation is still important, so you want to keep it at a steady level with her too. And yeah, there are positive gifts and negative gifts, so we can increase or decrease reputation, because all the characters have their own special event when you make them mad enough. And then in the bottom right we have the wardrobe, which we shouldn't click on since it just changes our appearance. So when you unlock outfits, you might want to go there and change your appearance, and as it's stated in the character creator, you can change most aspects about your character again. And then in the middle we have the main event button, which is something you want to click on when you want to make time move. And then it will start a randomly picked event. That could be anything from bandits coming to raid your town to someone asking if you want to buy a horse. It could be basically anything. And most of them only last for 1 month, but some of them stretches out over 2 months or even more. And then we can go to the town view. So here is what Mistwinter Bay currently look like. And as you can see, there are a lot of these fenced in areas that represent empty lots that we can build on. So a big part of the gameplay loop is just to have enough resources to build anything in these fenced in spots. And right now, since we're at the start of the game, we don't really have enough resources to build anything. And there are also a few buildings that have been built already. So we have our own... Yeah, here we have the graveyard, so if you go to the graveyard and any of the townsfolk have died, you can see their gravestone there. And then it's the inn where we can visit people or see people who are visiting. So right now there's someone called Sebastian Talimorn who is visiting the inn, and he will stay until the beginning of the next season, because we are now in early spring. And then it's the Shrine of Avarol, where Dawn is working, and this is a pretty unique building because this building can be upgraded, so it becomes a temple and we get more coins per season and other things, but it can also be replaced. If we don't feel like we like Avalorism, which is the religion that Dawn represents, then we can just replace this shrine with a Shrine of the Void instead, and that then representing the other major religion in the game. And then we of course have our house, so it's the Sovereign's Villa where we live. And this one can be upgraded 2 times. So the first upgrade is to the Sovereign's Keep, and that not only unlocks an outfit for us, but it also means that we can keep 5 prisoners. So if we don't have the keep, we won't be presented with the option to throw anyone in prison. So we need the keep if we want to jail someone.
But for now, there's not much we can do in the town view, so I guess we just continue with the main event for now. Let's see what it is.
Yeah, because as previously mentioned, these are randomly picked, so we have like written and designed many completely unique events, and then the game just randomizes which one shows up. You can't get the same event in one playthrough, but you can get the same event across different playthroughs. Since most events have very different ways that they can be completed, and depending on when you encountered the event, you may also get very different outcomes. So I guess I'm supposed to be reading it.
Yes.
You're just walking through the throne room on your way to the dining hall for lunch. Everyone at this stage knows that you'll be busy in your study all day, so the throne room is practically empty. However, there are apparently other residents of Mistwinter Bay who want your help. Sovereign, can you please tell this mercenary that he's being unreasonable?
How is it being unreasonable to want to get paid for working?
I never asked for your help.
So you just wanted me to leave you there to die?
I could have scared them off on my own, or they could have left eventually.
Then how come I... Slow down, both of you. I can't make heads or tails of this if you keep going back and forth like that. Cecil, please tell me your side of the story.
I was heading home after an errand in a nearby village. When I walked through the forest, 3 wolves emerged from the woods. I thought I was alone, but then this man rushed in with a sword in hand, stabbing at the wolves. He managed to hit one, which scared all of them, and they ran away. He said that he is a mercenary for hire.
And you believe that?
I don't think he's a fraudster or something like that. He wielded the sword like an experienced fighter, and he had the armor to match as well. But his business practices are less than honorable.
I need to make a living too. Most people pay for these services voluntarily anyway, so maybe you're the problem.
I never asked for your services.
Calm down, both of you. Cecil, finish the story, please.
When the wolves had run away, he told me to pay him 50 coins for his services. I tried to argue with him that I didn't have to pay since he helped me voluntarily, but he insisted. He refused to give up and even followed me back to town. I had no choice but to come here and ask you to tell him off.
May I have your side of the story now, mister? Of course. My name is Jacob Fulleril. I'm a mercenary that's been traveling through Straina for about 10 years now. I have a good track record and satisfied customers in case you want references. I take your word for it. I recently finished my latest commission in the mountains and was just crossing through Mistwinter Bay. That's when I stumbled upon Cecil and the wolves. I'm not one to leave people to die when I can do something to help, so I jumped in and did what I always do. Protect people. When the wolves were gone and things were safe again, I requested 50 coins from Cecil. It's a reasonable compensation given the dangers of the task. Besides, my sword needs some sharpening now and I can't work properly without a good weapon. Still, 50 coins for a service that wasn't requested is a lot. You think Cecil's life is worth less than 50 coins? That's not what I'm saying and you know that. Look, I really wouldn't have asked for anything if not for the fact that I'm short on money. I'm not a bad guy, I just want to get compensated for the risks I take, especially when I've fallen on some hard times. I spent 6 months in the mountains protecting a nobleman when he was courting a woman. He paid me for the most basic accommodations and promised a proper salary once he got engaged to her. When I woke up one morning, they were both gone. The locals told me that they had eloped, and he didn't leave a single coin for me even though I fought off bandits and wild animals for him. I even lost a toe for his sake.
That's a big shame, but it has nothing to do with me. I shouldn't have to make up for someone else not paying you.
I still provided you with a service that you didn't pay for.
It was a service I didn't ask for either.
If I hadn't, quiet both of you. I will solve this dispute for you.
Should we randomize this one?
Yeah, let's do that. Since we already know everything that's gonna happen, we will just use a random number generator to pick the choices for us.
Number 4.
Number 4. Have Jacob pay a fine for unwanted businesses. Jacob, I hope you realize that what you did, which is to provide a service for free and then demand a payment after the service has been given, is illegal. I understand it comes off like that, but I couldn't really negotiate a deal before I attacked the wolves. I don't want any excuses, I am simply stating facts. And the fact is that you committed a crime that is punishable with a 100 coins fine for this one-time offense. You can't be serious! I very much am. I'm not one to joke when it comes to the law.
Soren, I understand that he might have technically broken the law and he definitely should not have asked for money after the fact, but Jacob is right. We couldn't negotiate a deal when we were in active danger.
I understand that just as well as I understand that he couldn't have done it for free I understand that he could have done it for free out of the kindness of his heart, so my decision still stands. Please pay the fine, Jacob, or I will have to resort to a harsher punishment. Here, are you happy?
Yes, very happy.
I'm satisfied on behalf of the law, yes. Then I don't see no reason why I should stay here for even a minute longer.
Sovereign, as good as it is that you uphold the law and treat situations equally under it, it might be a good idea to look at the unique circumstances of some cases.
Are you questioning my decision?
I'm just saying that most people, myself included, don't think that a fine was warranted. Jacob wasn't trying to trick anyone.
Yet you came here asking for my help to get rid of him.
I should get going now.
Yes, you should. Talk about being ungrateful. So, that made a lot of people mad.
Yeah. Because we saw pop-ups there that showed that entire social classes lost reputation. So everyone is pretty disappointed, Cecil isn't too happy, and Dawn is pretty upset too, even though we had +10 with her before. Now we check out the town again and see that we can build a few things at least now.
Mm-hmm.
And we still have a visitor at the inn who we haven't seen either.
He can stay at the inn.
You don't want to meet him?
I know. Should we build something?
Yeah, I suppose we should. Oh, it works. So, in these menus we can see that there are 2 buildings that can be built on the same lot. And since only one build button is clickable, it means we can only build one of them since we don't have enough gold for the other ones. And we can compare the buildings by looking at the monthly production section of the menu, which then shows how much we will gain each month from building either building. And then we see that we're having the lumber camp, which we can't afford, up against the hunter's camp, which we can afford. And the hunter's camp produces 1,000 food each month, whilst the lumber camp produces 10 wood each month. As we can see, we have a bit of base production on all of the resources. So it's really just down to what we want, kind of.
I want the farm.
The farm, okay.
Wheat farm, here we go.
So now we got an achievement, and we also got a new character. The wheat farmer Oscar Sweet has now moved in.
And you can see him immediately in the roster as well.
Yeah, so then we see that he's a lower class Avalorist who... Yeah, we haven't even talked about that part of the menu or anything. And then we can see a bit of a description about him, like his biography and other information. And then we can see that he has opinions about both Dawn and Cecil. And these smiley faces then represents what he thinks about them. So he's pretty fond of Dawn, and he's kind of like Cecil as well. And then we can see that Dawn does not like Cecil, but she's kind of okay with Oscar. And Cecil does not like Dawn. And Erevan is kind of okay with Dawn. So these relationships, as we see, dictate a few things. Because they decide which people we might encounter during these main events, like the one we just saw where Cecil and Jacob the mercenary showed up. There are specific events where some of these characters who have opinions about each other, for example Dawn and Cecil, since they both have opinions about each other, they might show up together in a specially crafted event where you get to choose things that may affect your relationship with them. And these relationships also affect what a character, for example Oscar, thinks if Dawn were to move out, which can happen, because there are many things that can happen to people living in a town. So since Oscar likes Dawn, if she moves out, he would be disappointed and will kind of blame you for it, and he will lose reputation. But if Dawn were to move out, Cecil would be happy since he doesn't like her. So these are called notable relationships, and all townsfolk have 5 of them, and the foreign leaders have opinions about all the other foreign leaders, as we can see in this menu. So the menus we're going between are the townsfolk roster and the foreign leader roster, which show the same type of information, just with different characters. So as we can see, there are some pretty extreme opinions in some cases, like Area and Gard not being particularly fond of each other. They actually hate each other, just like Lemion and Seva hate each other. So kind of an indication that getting involved with politics might be pretty risky. But we can also see that Orig and Camilla don't really have any relationships like that, so they are pretty calm. Well, Camilla doesn't like Ophelia that much, but otherwise it's pretty calm, decently calm. So, and then we go back to the throne room and see that we have a new hangout, which happens to be with Oscar, who just moved in. Because these hangouts are based on 2 things. You need to have a certain amount of reputation with the character, which for this first hangout is 0 and above. Or maybe it even starts as minus 25 or something like that.
25.
Yeah, it's minus 25 and above. And then when you have completed a hangout, you will receive the heart that you see on the button, and then you will be able to unlock hangout number 2 if you have enough reputation for that, and so on and so forth. So all of these characters have 5 hangouts, which are represented by these hearts. Because if we look in the townsfolk roster, we can see that, yeah, the same hearts are here, but they aren't like filled in, which indicate that we haven't done any hangouts yet. And the same goes in the foreign leaders menu as well. They also have the hearts, all of them except Ophelia, since you can't marry her. So all the characters that you can marry have these hearts. But it's important to note that the hearts don't necessarily indicate romantic interest. It just shows how many hangouts you have done with them. Because your relationships with characters usually don't become romantic after a certain before a certain point. So after their personal quest, you might start seeing some romance, but not before that. So there's no need to be worried that you make people jealous if you just want to see who they are, you know. Should we do another main event, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So now we will see another randomly picked main event.
I know what this is.
Swordlake, there's something I need your opinion on.
Yes, what is it?
Recently, we have gotten multiple requests from different social classes. However, it would prove difficult to answer all the requests. We must choose what to prioritize. Choosing one over the other might make people upset. Which is why I need your input.
I need to know what the requests are before I make any decisions.
Of course, I was getting to that part. The lower class has been complaining about sewage stench lingering around their homes in the southern part of town. This is likely due to a blockage somewhere. We would have to figure out where the blockage is and then swiftly dispose of it. It is not necessarily a difficult job, but we would have to pay someone around 50 gold to do it, since it is quite disgusting. On the other hand, the middle class has been complaining about cracks in their buildings' facades. They are not going to collapse anytime soon, but the longer we wait to patch things up, the worse it will get with time. I estimate this job would cost around 50 gold as well. Lastly, the nobility has been noticing some of their belonging, going missing, likely due to less guards being stationed around their homes in wealthier areas. Stationing more guards there would mean taking guards away from other areas. I'm certain this would upset the lower middle classes. But the nobility would be very happy, of course. What do you suggest we focus on?
Well...
I guess we just randomize that.
Yeah.
We have two options. Since we don't have 50 gold, we can't afford to help the middle class or the lower class. We pick number 1, which is to help the nobility.
And the nobility means Dawn, because we don't have any other nobility. The issue with the nobility's belongings getting stolen seems the most important to me. There are actual crimes going on after all.
The nobility will surely appreciate you helping them. As for the other classes, they might be upset you choose to dismiss their requests and move the guards around.
Increasing the guards in the area, at least temporarily, is bound to deter any thieves. Once things have calmed down, we can move the guards back.
I am unsure if that logic will reassure any lower or middle class people. But a decision has been made and the nobility will be pleased. In fact, there was a noble in town who said he would pay you for handling the issue.
Much appreciated.
I will handle things from here. You may get back to your duties now, Sorlek.
Will do.
So, people got upset, Dawn got happy, and we gained some coins.
Yeah.
And then we can see Dawn is pretty okay. Cecil getting disappointed. That doesn't really like us anymore. And Oscar isn't very impressed either. So we can also see like how the smiley faces next to the reputation numbers have changed now that Erwan has reached the -30 threshold. Because the thresholds are at 25 for each step. And we also have 300 coins, not too bad.
We don't have any gold, so we can't really build anything.
Yeah.
Should we do a hangout, maybe?
Yeah, maybe we should.
Maybe randomize a foreign leaders hangout. See who should we side with?
Because picking sides is basically what you do when you hang out for foreign leaders. Number 4.
Number 4 is...
That's Lemion.
Lemion Idala. Here we go.
Sword Lake, I have bad news. A chambermaid just told me there are moths in your wardrobe.
Oh no! How did no one notice until now?
No one knows, I am afraid. As a result, your favorite winter coat has been moth-eaten. The damage is irreparable. I am afraid you will have to get a new one. But getting a new one can be a fun experience, right? Now you can choose between all the latest fashions. I have some things to do, but if you need my assistance, you need but call for me. With Jack gone, you are left alone to ponder the loss of your favorite winter coat. It was not particularly thick, but you were very fond of its appearance. It wouldn't be impossible to get one tailored in the same style. However, you are unsure if you want to get a similar one. There will always be a time for change. Maybe this is the time for yours. You need some warm winter clothes, that's for certain, but the question is if you should get a new coat or try something different. Also, you're unsure if it is best to get something new before the moth problem is taken care of. When you think about winter clothes and taking care of them, your mind wanders to a certain foreign leader. Fladelans need to wear thick and warm clothes all year round, so if anyone knows about what to wear during the cold season and how to take care of it, it's the supreme ruler of Fladel. Impulsively, you decide to send Lemion a letter. You don't want to burden him with too many questions, so you decide to stick with one. You consider asking about what winter clothes to get or how to best take care of them.
Well, it don't really matter, so let's just ask about winter clothes.
If you don't have any clothes to take care of, you can hardly ask about the care routine, so you decide to ask Lemion about what winter clothes you should get. You quickly pen a letter consisting of the most crucial points. Once done, you read it through.
Dear Chief Lemion Idala, the beautiful clothes of Fladel are widely known. Many other countries are in awe at how Fladelans can stay warm and look fashionable at the same time. Needless to say, Fladelans have knowledge of and opinions on winter clothes that the rest of Ruminants would do well to listen to. Because of a certain mishap, I have lost my winter coat. As such, I am in need of new winter clothes. Since I do not know a lot about today's fashion, my coat was many years old, I cannot with good conscience show myself to my people in new winter attire before asking an expert on advice. Thus I am writing to you, who must surely be a master on the topic. I humbly ask for your advice on what to get to keep... Oh my god. I humbly ask for your advice on what to get to keep out winter's cold. Should I get a new coat? Perhaps a hooded cape? Or is there something else that is popular right now that I am completely oblivious to? I understand if you do not have the time to answer such questions, but if you do, I would greatly appreciate your opinion. Best regards, Sovereign, Sword Lake Entertainment of Mistwinter Bay.
You don't think the letter sounds offensive or invasive, so you deem it fit to be sent. You head towards the pigeon coop. If you're lucky, Lemion will send an answer in a few days. 4 days later, you stand in the throne room holding a letter with a Flaidal and Idalaclad's seal. Your hands shake slightly as you open it and read it. Dear Sovereign, Sword Lake Entertainment of Mistwinter Bay. Thank you for your letter. Even though your questions are highly inconsequential, you did right by turning to me for advice, as I am indeed the most knowledgeable person on this topic in Arenas. As such, I am willing to give you some of my time by writing this letter. First of all, even though I am an expert on winter clothes, I can hardly say that I am an expert on your winter clothes. Stranian fashion is quite different from Flaidalen, however the principle remains the same. The most important thing when it comes to winter clothes is that it must be made from the right material. If it is not high quality, thick fabric, you may as well do without. Also, as you are surely aware, only the most skilled tailor should handle any sort of region's clothing. It has to be a tailor who can put all sorts of lavish details into their work, lest your outfit be mistaken for that of a common noble's. As for which garment to choose, there is really no right answer. Coats and capes are both fine. Here in Flaidal we usually wear robes in several layers, but I am aware that such an outfit may be very eye-catching in a not-so-positive way in Strana. The Empress may have friendly diplomatic relationships with us, but I am no fool. I know what other Romanian people call Flaidalans. I digress. My suggestion is that you go big. Better to have too many options than too few, in my opinion. Get a couple of coats and capes in different colors for different occasions. That way you not only ensure that you have enough warm clothes if severe cold is on the horizon, but you will also gain the respect of nobles and regents alike. After all, a sovereign who can show off different outfits must be a wealthy and powerful one. It matters not if you actually are powerful or wealthy. The mere impression of you being so makes others believe it is true. That in time will make you what you were not. Look as you want to live, I say. And if you, for some reason, do not desire the wealth and power that would come from being a successful sovereign, I humbly ask you, is the title of sovereign really for you? I wish you the best with your endeavors. If you ever feel the need to show off your winter garments and let me decide for myself how effective my written recommendations were, I bid you welcome to Flaidal. There is hardly a better place to test the effectiveness of coats and capes. Best of luck, Chief Lemion Dalan. The answer leaves you a bit conflicted. Lemion's tone was quite condescending at points, but given his reputation, you're not surprised. Instead, you're quite honored to have received an answer at all on a topic that Lemion called inconsequential, although judging from what he wrote, it wasn't quite as inconsequential as he first made it out to be. You'll take Lemion's suggestion into consideration. Perhaps you should even show him what you decided on sometime in the future, as thanks for his assistance. Before you can decide such things, you will have to get new winter clothes. That will take a while. You know, we got another achievement. Get to know your colleagues.
Wow.
And just so you know, hanging out with people don't actually progress time in any way. So as you can see, it's still late spring year 1.
As it was when we started the hangout. It's only when you do foreign leaders' personal quests that a character's story progresses time, but you will be informed of that before you start it, so you get a little, are you sure you want to start? Sort of thing. And now we see Lemion has disappeared from the list since we have done his first hangout, and he has some blue heart there, and he doesn't have enough reputation to get the second one. But as soon as he does get that, we can hang out with him again.
Now let's do the first long event.
You're seated on a throne, relaxing after a particularly large breakfast. According to your schedule, you should already be hard at work with some administrative tasks, but since no one has said anything yet, you'll take a few more moments to settle in. However, the calm atmosphere quickly disappears when your advisors walk in, pale as ghosts.
Did both of you have a nightmare or something? You look paler than usual.
If only it were a nightmare, not reality.
I know what this event is.
This is not good.
Unfortunately, I confirmed it with my own eyes, only bringing more credibility to the reports my spies gave me the other day. Out with it then. There's no need to worry me even more by being vague. My information network has told me that there are several places across mainland Humanus, particularly Strana, that have been terrorized by Dorms lately.
Your heart drops as soon as you hear that word. You're far from an expert on Dorms, but just like everyone else, you know that they're some of the most vicious and deadly creatures in the world. They're nocturnal, rat-like beings who eat humans and elementals alike. A paralyzing bite allows a Dorm to eat its victim undisturbed. Sometimes it takes a few hours, sometimes it takes several days. It all comes down to the size of the pack of Dorms. The reason why every bedroom has a small light source at all times is to keep those pests out, because where there is darkness, Dorms can hide.
Don't tell me there have been Dorm sightings in Mistwinter Bay.
I truly wish that were the case, but it is not. This morning we got a report of missing people that had been found. It was a couple. The relatives had not heard from them for a while, so they contacted the guards here. The guards investigated, and I am glad that I did not see it for myself, but Sophia did take a look.
And saw what? Please tell me. Bones in blood-soaked bed. By the void. They were both bitten when asleep. We can only hope that they were still asleep as the Dorms ate them. Was it possible to tell for how long they were being consumed? Not from the remains themselves, but based on the other information I have, I'm afraid it was fast.
Which may sound like a blessing, all things considered, but it is not. Fast consumption usually means that there are many, many Dorms, hundreds and hundreds.
And that's the worst case scenario when it comes to Dorms. You've probably heard some of the rumors about what's going on in other places. I have heard about a lot of people disappearing all over the place, and there have been whispers of Dorms too. My sources have confirmed the legitimacy of those rumors. Unfortunately, they also confirmed that it's a very serious case. So serious that most governments try to hide it as to not cause panic whilst they try to sort out any lighting issues there may be. I'm sure that I don't have to tell you why it's important that we do the same. If the Dorms have already been here once, it's likely that they will come back, especially if there's a trend of them visiting the continent right now. But what of the couple that was eaten? What was their lighting like?
By the way, just a little side note, that these Dorms, you can find more information about that and many other things by going to the encyclopedia that we're open right now. D, not E.
Yeah.
So here we have an entire section explaining what Dorms are, so if you ever want more information about anything, it's pretty likely that you can find it in the encyclopedia. Yes. They were not the wealthiest, so to speak, so they could not afford a Dorm repellent light.
Oh no. That also means that the Dorm repellent lights still work, so as long as everything is properly lit throughout town, both in people's homes and on the streets, we can handle as many Dorms as there are.
But as things stand right now, we unfortunately do not have enough coverage across town to prevent hordes of Dorms from coming here. Because the more there are, the more persistent and less scared of light they are.
Can't we just fight them up with magic instead? Because magic is the only thing that can kill them, right? That's true, but with the numbers we're talking about, any mage that isn't a damn Somak would be done for. They would have to fight in the dark after all, or the Dorms wouldn't show up in the first place. I didn't think about that. Our lighting may be good enough for a regular amount of Dorms, but as things stand, we need to increase the coverage, at least temporarily.
If we do not, we will lose people. A lot of people, if the reports from other towns are to be believed.
Which they are, my sources are very credible. Let's say we put more lights on the streets and in people's homes. How much would that cost?
We already did some calculations, and it would be around 200 gold.
Ooh.
Which we do not have. We have 50. That may seem like a lot for just some lighting, but there are many people who would not be able to afford any lighting on their own.
Although there's no stopping you from using your own money to pay for it. 500 coins will probably cover the same amount. We
also don't have.
We're so screwed. Oh, why not split it evenly? 100 gold, 250 coins.
Missing 50 gold for that. Could have done it. Of course, with such important expenditure, I'm sure that some of Rumina's most influential individuals would be willing to lend you the required funds. Perhaps they might even send some light sources.
It's up to you to decide how to go about this, kiddo, but we implore you to do something.
Well, I guess we randomize it and see what we
Yeah,
get.
it's not gonna end very well.
Number two.
Have
the people pay for their own lights.
I don't see why we need to spend any resources to pay for lights when the people can pay for their own lights. Those who aren't already covered should have been that a long time ago. If they don't get lights now, if we tell them to, they obviously have a death wish.
I do not think it is a longing for death that has prevented people from buying Dorum-repellent lights, but rather a lack of funds.
Even so, now is the time to prioritize that above any other expenses. It's not my responsibility to light up their homes at night. That's true, but this isn't just decorative lighting. This is the difference between life and death. If we don't finance those lights, they probably won't be put up at all.
In other words, people will likely die.
I say we warn the people of the danger and they can buy their own lights if needed. End of discussion.
As you wish, Sword Lake.
Just don't be surprised if a lot of people turn up dead soon.
And now we saw that the season changed, so now we're on early summer. Because in some long events it will go on automatically like this. And sometimes you will get to go back to the throne room and build and hang out with people and whatever in between finishing a long event. Because you will know when the long event is completed, because then you will get the event completed thing that we have seen 2 times before with the shorter one. Alright, Sovereign, I have a missing person report that needs your attention.
Another one? They never seem to stop coming. Don't tell me it's another lower class citizen who has failed to show up to a meeting or haven't contacted a family in a while.
That's actually spot on, both of them in fact.
Who is missing this time then?
Erevan.
Oh no! Oh, that isn't good. Do a welfare check on Erevan immediately.
We already did that, but the door was locked.
Why didn't you go in anyway? You know the times we live in right now.
That's the thing right there. Due to all of the missing people, we don't have time to check on all of them. If a knock on the door won't summon them, we'll have to move on to the next house.
That sounds like pure incompetence, even stupidity. With so many people missing, you should just barge in into all of their houses. You go to Erevan right now and make sure that everything is okay.
As you wish, Sovereign. Several hours have passed since you ordered a guard to go check on Erevan. You can't tell if the long time means that he ignored your order out of spite or if something serious has happened. We just received a report from the guards. They are all so very busy right now that they could not deliver them in person. Oh, what a disaster this is!
Tell me what is going on, please.
Oh boy. Erevan, or what remains at least, was found dead in bed, undoubtedly eaten by Dorums.
No! And Erevan isn't the only one. All of the missing people's homes were investigated and it turns out that all of them were eaten. Hardly surprising in hindsight, seeing that none of them could afford Dorum-repellent lights. Wait, all of them? Even the ones that have only been missing for a short time? Yes, all of them. But aren't there about 100 missing people reports? Unfortunately, yes.
And now we lost population.
What about Oscar? No! Oscar was reported missing yesterday!
Oscar was so fortunately one of those found dead, partially eating. And now we saw also, since Dawn had an opinion about Oscar, she got disappointed now that he died.
Yeah. You didn't have to mention the last part.
My apologies, I'm simply too shaken to know what I am saying sometimes.
That's it, right? No one else has died or gone missing. That's thankfully it. But it's still a big loss of life. One that could have been avoided with something as simple as light. But we warned them. They were all aware of the danger, so there shouldn't have been any casualties. Sometimes things seem a lot simpler on paper than they are in reality.
It does indeed seem like the townsfolk's financial situation is worse than we assumed.
But it's all over now, right? The dorms must surely have had enough by now. That's actually what the latest report from outside of town suggests. The other heavily affected areas haven't seen any dorms lately. If Mistwinter Bay follows that trend, we won't see any from the next month onward. Or rather, we'll see a regular amount, whatever that means in the wake of things. That's a relief, all things considered.
Even though we will hopefully be physically safe from dorms starting in the near future, there is little to be done about the turn your reputation has taken because of this, Swordlake. To say that the people are upset with you is an understatement.
It's going so well. Dawn loves us right now. At least they're alive so that they can be angry. That's a victory point at this stage. Jack and I will head out there and confirm that we haven't missed anyone else. You should start planning for the mass funerals, kiddo. It's an unpleasant responsibility, but I will carry it out as it is my duty to my people.
Well, that went great. We lost half of our townsfolk.
The good news is that there's no lower class to get mad anymore. It's only Don and Cecil left.
Neither of them are particularly happy now. But now we can see the new gravestones at the graveyard that isn't tended to anyone since anyone died.
Yeah, it says here it's unknown.
And we can see that both of them died by being eaten by dorms. So we can see their names and the date when they died and how they died.
Great.
And now that Oscar isn't tending to the farm, it produces half of what it produced before that. Which isn't great.
Yeah.
But now there's a new visitor at the inn. Yay!
Yay!
Rocka!
Rockerir. I don't want to meet Rocka.
You are discriminating against the characters.
And we can't build anything. Great.
Going great so far. Yeah, maybe that is enough for a first video.
Yeah, I guess.
We have been playing for quite a while and we've shown off the intro and we've shown off some of the main gameplay and shown how not to do so that you can do better by getting the game yourself and hopefully not getting dorms that you can't do anything about the first time.
Yeah.
And that's what we were saying earlier about when certain events, main events show up randomly, can make a big difference in how you handle them. Because now we didn't really have an option. I mean, we did randomize things, so we did have an option, but we didn't have the resources to even get the option to buy things ourselves. So if this Dorm event had happened later, on maybe year 4 or something, we probably would have had the resources to buy lights, and then hopefully no one would have died. But now we lost 2 people, and now we have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
And since all of the characters, all of the townsfolk are completely unique, losing some of them might hurt us further down the line in other events, because we haven't seen anything of it yet since we skipped the coronation thing, but we can't send townsfolk out during events. So sometimes someone will be like, oh, you need to go check on the bridge over there, but you're busy, so you have to send someone else. And then you get to choose a character in the list of all the townsfolk who live in the town. And they all have different skills, and depending on what skills they have, they might succeed or fail in the task you've given them. But they always have, or most of the time, have at least a small chance of succeeding, even if they don't actually have the skills that you need for a certain task. So that's something we can look forward to hopefully seeing in the next episode.
Yeah.
And again, if you want to try the game yourself, you could buy it on Steam or itch, but we recommend Steam since it's easier to update games and so on there. So we'll leave links in the description where you can find the game. And we hope that you'll enjoy it, because as you've hopefully seen if you've watched this far, it's a pretty interesting game where a lot of things can happen, and we've put down a lot of effort into making it, so we really want people to know that it exists and hopefully enjoy it as well.
Yeah, we barely scratched the surface of all the things that can happen in this game.
Yeah, there's more than 1.6 million words, which to our knowledge makes it one of the biggest games ever made, not to mention indie games. And there's more than 2,000 choices too, so there are like so many things that can happen. And with the added RNG, with, for example, which main event shows up and when and so on, every playthrough is going to be unique. So you're not going to see the same things that we have seen.
So yeah, thanks for watching and we'll hopefully see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.